Oh, there you go. There we go. Now we're righty. There we go. All right. This is Bighorn One's 2017 Facility Plan meeting with School Facilities Division, and we'll start with the introductions of ourselves.
It's John Rexis. I'm the Northwest corner of the state project manager.
Shelby Carlson, I'm the new School Facilities Division Administrator, and this may be the first one this year, but it's my first one ever. And Michael, you and I've worked before when I was still working for WYDOT, so good to see you again. I'm just wearing a different hat now.
Welcome.
All right, I'm Charlie Kaufman. I'm a planning coordinator, School Facilities Division.
And Troy Decker, Planning Supervisor.
Amber Leach, Planning Policy Analyst.
Okay, well, welcome this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We've kind of brought your documents up already just to make sure that we can kind of in an expedient manner.
Troy,
go ahead.
if it's okay, Keith Harris, who's here with us also for the first time, he's our curriculum/assistant superintendent, so he'll be joining the meeting and then along with myself.
Oh, thank you. And then Sean, you're there as well? Oh, okay.
I'll be sitting in for Sean today.
Okay. Are you eventually going to take over the superintendency then for the district as a whole, or?
That's not the plan. Just right now, I'm helping fill some of the role while Sean's doing some other things.
Okay, great. All right. So Sean's not a part of this, so we'll remove his name. This is Amber's first meeting. She's going to be taking notes, and we'll kind of give her a little bit of directives as we go along here. So, all right. So with that, then, let's start right down through our facility plan template. Tracts and deeds, of course, land. Charlie's updated all your land and property profiles.
They will actually be uploaded into AIM within the next week or so. We did have some delay on that end, but they should be uploaded here in the next week or so.
Okay. Looks like you do not have a need for disposing of any land or acquisitions, and you do not have almost painless. See?
That's why you start with us.
Property profiles are up to date. Enhancements, you've got some enhancements. We have final expenditures on those, so we're looking good. Don't need to say anything on that. And then leases, you don't have any leases for buildings, so I think anything else we need to say there? We're good, I think.
Yep.
All right. You'll have your distance learning education program. We do receive your enrollment numbers for both your distance education. I'm kind of giggling just a little bit, Michael, because you and I had to go through such gymnastics to get these things in the past and separate your distance learning from your actual brick and mortar students. But years ago started making that change for us. They give us both numbers, but we use your actual your brick and mortar numbers for the students actually attending.
And we have those here.
Super. All right. Anything else you need to talk about with regard to your distance learning educational program?
I think, Troy, and this is, just for those that are new, we've had this conversation before, at least you and I have. Currently, we have offices in Cody, Wyoming, that houses all of our administrators. We do bring students in to fulfill all of the standardized testing requirements that we do in house. At some point, we may bring administration, that those Cody offices here, we don't know, but it's just an ongoing conversation.
Okay.
And for your information, we just got Mr. Hawker.
Oh, great. Hello, sir.
Everyone. But you can believe most of everything else I tell you today.
Yeah, somebody's got to get in here and make sure these two guys are straight.
Now, they were telling us the opposite just a minute ago.
They were what?
They were telling us the opposite just a minute ago. They were there to keep you straight.
Oh, well, that's probably true.
Somebody unlocked the door and he got in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about, I remember last year just talking about distance education and your program there. And I do recall that you have Cody, people out of Cody running that. They have, I don't know if you're leasing or just own some property there. And then we talked about, if I recall last year, that, I mean, there's no avenue through which, through our department, that you could get any kind of facility monies in order to provide facilities for your staff. And then if I recall last year, we kind of talked about, if you guys want to pursue that, that's really more of a legislative contact, working through your legislators in northwestern Wyoming and seeing what can happen there. And I don't know, do those students, do they generate, Sean, the same exact for ADM, the same amount of money per student? Is the block grant the same for them, or is it a different formula?
No, absolutely. It's the same.
Okay. All right. Okay. Supplemental budget and appropriations. We always want to kind of, especially this year, there's so many things going on that are so much different than in the past. And so we kind of just wanted to walk through the legislative bills that are kind of working their way through. Just on the education side, we're just trying to track those that have direct influence on your buildings, on your properties. And House Bill 27, if I recall, I believe that's the one for insurance. Sean, I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yep.
Okay, so you know what's going on, stat insurance and stuff like that to cover property damage or whatever. So haven't dissected that one a lot. That has directly to do with you, and so you're familiar with that.
Trey, I might just add that the committee met on that bill last night, and it did advance forward.
Okay.
On a 9-0 vote from the committee, so I'm going to make it to the floor.
And I don't know, or how have you guys gotten any analysis that potential impact for you financially at the district on that?
I don't have that with me. That conversation's been had with my business manager, but I couldn't tell you today where that hits us. Okay.
And then we'll look at these. These are two interesting ones that are kind of moving through House Bill 108 and House Bill 138. Yeah, you may be familiar with them, but let me bring those up. Regarding the exact same statute, but what it has to do with is basically district-wide an average class size of no more than 16 students, and this one bring that up to match our new identity. Class size 24 students for grade kindergarten through 12. Nope,
It's
that
going to
was
be 24
through 12th
across
grade.
the way.
So it looks like 24. That one just talks about 24 students clear across the. It is kind of an off spin of that one, and it changes it just a little bit on Klein. That 4 through 12 at 21. Is that correct? Here it just talks about then through class size 18 for grades kindergarten. It would be 22 students in the fiscal year, or the school year, I should say, 17-18, and then 23 students 18-19, 24 in 19 and 20. And so that kind of just slowly moves up to allow districts, I guess, to adjust. And then they've been, it was a surprise to all of us. I mean, we went from it was quite the cut and shocked all of us, of course. But anyway, as this moves through, where's the proposal? They've got an emergency food service. It's the only food service for the district. That's being proposed service for K-12 at the elementary. And then we have
actually for a
that's right.
potential site.
Yeah.
They have a deal with them to be $1 million.
Purchased, and then Laramie one is still experiencing some challenges. Modulars we're continuing on. We're submitting these on a yearly basis. What else? We've got another modular actually right next door to you guys, are close at Bighorn 3. They're in Graybull, at 2 modules at the elementary school, and then probably the 2 big ones, and you're probably aware of this, it takes up a huge amount of the 80 million or so, is a new elementary in Teton County. I think they're
121%.
Yeah, 121% of that's probably a superintendent's dream, huh? 121% of capacity, and then Laramie One also. I think they're about 101%, and in a roundabout way, the junior high school is to be replaced, and then that the junior high itself is going to be used to house 5th and 6th graders in, I think, one of the triads. I think it's a central triad. So those are still in there. It's actually a little bit over 80 million. But that's about the latest and greatest. Have so far survived. What we've done, well, what the legislature has done, I should say, is that they've always prioritized educational buildings first, and then your support buildings second. I know that you guys in here kind of mentioned a little bit about your need for maybe get something brought back down to your main schools and stuff with regard to taking care of your lawnmowers and stuff like that. We'll talk about that just a little bit more. Anyway, that's about it for supplemental budget working through. Any questions on that?
Troy, would you want to mention that House Bill 58 also has the requirement for us to fund a study on allocation of major maintenance dollars? Is there in the Section 2 of that bill. So that's something we'll be doing in the commission this summer. So it's going to happen pretty fast.
Yeah, there's basically, I think we have an advisory committee made up of some school district representatives across the state. I think Todd Wilder was one of those up in your area. We've got, I think, one in Amy Anschutz. You probably know her, down in Big Piney. Vern McAdams, that's right, out of Sublette One. I think Dan Celeroli out of Sweetwater One as well. So yeah, we're basically, what we've been asked by the legislature at this point, or the select committee specifically, is to look over major maintenance. And Michael, I don't know if you were at one of our meetings, but we've actually presented several times at our commission meetings. We're not asking for less, we're asking for more. We're asking for more major maintenance. We recognize that, in our opinion and through consulting, that major maintenance is short. Underfunded. So we're seeking to actually encourage the legislature to consider potentially in the future getting that up where we need it to be to make sure that all these buildings are taken care of across the state. Good. I'll add that. Yeah. Normal presentation.
Is FEA's, Troy, is FEA survey that's going around right now, is that part of that study?
It is, yep. They're just trying to find out what you guys, how you do the major maintenance, how you do routine maintenance. That will be part of at the beginning of that. And for the next, I apologize, I don't have up here, and I think we're having network issues, so we can't get the document, or I'd show you. But yeah, the scope basically is to look at major maintenance, to look at how districts are using it, to look at opportunities on how to really maximize the use of major maintenance, make sure it's at the level we need to, and make sure that state statute supports an asset preservation type of model coming into the future, knowing that for at least several years, at least in the near future, several years where we're going to have to rely on major maintenance as our main opportunity to make sure we take care of these buildings. The capital side, the major capital side of that is pretty uncertain at this point. Capital appropriations, we still have this planning study down here. This was back when the district was kind of getting closer. I think you guys were actually from 90 to 95% capacity in districts. That's when the cutoff is for kind of, they call it a low priority capacity, but we kind of put this in there. But We're going to look at your enrollment projections here in just a moment, and there's really no need to use that, and I'm not really seeing that really in the near future as well. But why don't we, and we can go to that right now while we're just talking about it.
Okay.
Were you going to say something?
I was gonna say, this is Burlington. We did, so Amber did 2 separate sets of them, one for Burlington and one for Rocky Mountain.
Okay.
Which is the first time we've done that, which is fine. Historically, they've all been under one for us to see them now.
Let's see, so there's that one, Rocky Mountain and Burlington. Okay, let's look at Burlington first. So the last 10 years, but you guys, yeah, so 229 is your average in the last 2 years or so, but you're hanging in there. It doesn't look like you're continuing to lose. You're not really gaining. You're just kind of just sustaining. And then as we look, that's Burlington and then Rocky Mountain. So you do like that, Michael, kind of being able to see maybe both those, huh, independently?
Yeah, we can always put them back together. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, so the fact is, I mean, you're probably never going to have busing to a single school. Do you guys review do you have boundaries basically, or is it pretty well just wherever students want to go historically? How do you balance the line between those two communities and where students go?
It's actually kind of interesting because of gerrymandering and other things. There's actually distinction between our districts where we're separated by another school district. And so there's really no line that we have to draw because we're actually separated by Park County.
It's similar to Sheridan 1, how they're separated by Sheridan 2. You got Tongue River and Bighorn with Sheridan High School in between. We're a similar.
I got you. So you got a far north campus and then a far south within your district.
Correct.
We could bust 3 other districts before we would bust Burlington,
Right.
or vice versa.
Got a level that's 5 minutes down the road, so.
Wow. Okay, I got you. That's right. Now it's all coming back on the.
How do they split through Byron?
Well, it's probably 5 miles or so south of Byron as you're heading across the deserty area towards Burlington. And generally there's only a farmhouse or 2 out there that we do give them. Our buses will turn around right there and go back to the respective Burlington or Rocky schools. So any parents that live in that area, we've given them the choice. But otherwise, it's just a pretty natural boundary because there's probably 20 miles of uninhabited deserty area out there.
And you guys do the same thing with Meeteetse, don't you? You go down to a certain point, it's kind of halfway, and wait to have a bus turn around there, don't you?
We do.
Okay, all right, and then down here at your Rocky Mountain area, you basically, and it looks like you guys have grown over the last few years, at least from back in the 300s, and kind of came back up, and it looks like you're around the 400 mark. It looks like in the last 5 years or so, you're looking at an average of 434. So it just kind of matters probably what size of kindergarten you have working through and the birth rate, I would imagine.
Do you guys get many students that go back and forth? I mean, I know there are some students that go from Rocky to Level. Do you get a lot of students that do the other way around as well, that go from Level to Rocky?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or PAL to Rocky.
Okay, so and then and I'm going to just skip around a little bit, guys, as the conversation just naturally goes. So Charlie each year is kind of putting together just some district analysis for us with regard to capacity. This just breaks down your Burlington K-12 at 35% capacity. With regard to that, your Rocky Mountain combined, you're looking at around 70, give or take 76%. So
See, last year, the Rocky Mountain Elementary School was at about 94.4%. And it looks like you guys dropped from 220 to 188 in terms of enrollment in the elementary school. And so that puts you at roughly 77%. But basically I wanted to put that out there so that way, it's not that we just dropped them off a list or anything like that, but that being currently at 77%, they no longer qualify for priority on that.
Quick question. This is Michael here. Historically, we've had the online kids in there and we've pulled them out. We're a little bit curious how you pulled the online kids out.
That was you and me working through the last 2 to 3 years, Michael, and you were basically providing those different numbers to me. Do you remember that?
I do, but this year we did not.
No, WDE in the last 2 years has done that on our behalf. They've done it and sent us specifically what the brick and mortar students are. So you and I, based on, which was really tough, so they're providing that now as a breakout, and so your enrollment projections are not including your virtual academy students. And prior to that, they hadn't done that and were unable to even go back more than 3 years, I think. And so that's why, and I kept your numbers that you provided me as the historical numbers on the breakout on that, not to include those through your help.
Prevent a declining enrollment.
What's that?
In order to
Right.
keep
Right.
the trend
All of a sudden it would look like they're having mass exodus, and that wasn't true. Okay. Good question. Okay, any other questions or thoughts? I would say with regard to this appropriation, school district, I would recommend that we pull this back and return it to the state coffer for a planning study with regard to capacity. And then we've got our policies that says if you come back up and hit over 90%, we kind of hit you early, and we'll go ahead and follow through with the study if that's projected up. But I think that we're going to be hanging on to this for years and years to come, and with the finances of the state as they are, I think that we need to pull this back and just put it back in and have the legislature decide what they want to do with it.
Yeah, Troy, this is Sean, and that's fine. I think we just want to make sure that we don't lose track of just the discussion points of our online school and our staff. I know the students and the student counts are irrelevant in regards to capacity for our Rocky schools, but more and more the teachers are becoming a challenge for us, because we currently right now we do pay a fee to our host or to our provider of our educational product that we are teaching those kids online with. We're paying a fee that allows that company to simply rent space for those dozen teachers and administrators to handle those 375 online kids. And we see in the future that may need to go away. I'm not sure if I'm going to be honestly able to afford that fee, and so in order to save me money, I'm going to need to provide a place for those dozen teachers to do their job, to educate those 375 kids. And so, granted, I don't have that plan today, but I think it's just something that we need to star and have on our ongoing discussions, on our mind. So you just asked if there's anything else on my mind, and maybe you guys talked about that before, because I was about 5 or 10 minutes late getting here. So if you did, I apologize, but just wanted to share with you that thought.
Yeah, we'll definitely note that in our section as well, just the fact that you are considering potentially down the road bringing those staff members for your distance learning teachers to one of your schools, I would assume, correct? And actually using a portion of your school, okay? Yep. And we would respect that, obviously, and so I'd encourage you to do that. And right, and so what you're saying is, from a financial point of view, I mean, it's worked out really well for you to, I assume, is that a lease then in Cody? Or?
Well, see, Yeah, I don't know what they honestly do, because all I do then is I just pay a fee to them, and that fee, they turn around and just make sure that we have, space. So I have no idea what they're paying for property in Cody, Wyoming. It could be kind of pricey for all I know. I just know that fee that I pay, in a couple of years when I renegotiate that fee, we're looking at avenues to bring those teachers in-house so that they will be somewhere. And that's kind of, again, I think that it's an uncharted territory with us and with you. We're not looking at space for 400 kids, but I'm looking at space for a dozen teachers and an administrator, and where do they go, and then how do we make that happen? So we fortunately have some planning time, but that's why I wanted to make sure that I was able to attend this meeting to just get this out there on everybody's radar.
Sure. Okay, good.
I suspect that's already happening. The WDE started to break out the online students.
Moving on to security. I don't think Tanner's here.
No, Tanner's not here.
Okay. Well, you want to give him a quick call and see if he wants to join us? I think he's got things.
I think he kind of wanted to.
Yeah.
Here, let me, I'll step out.
If he's there, and yeah, he could just call in and let us know he's there, and then we'll talk about this some more.
Around that one, Troy, real quick.
On
The GoToMeeting.
yeah, it's he's got the actual Google Calendar for facility planning, so all I've got to do is go in there. It's right in there.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay, so we'll see if we can get a hold of Tanner. He wanted to be a part of these discussions, so let's skip security for just a moment, and we'll come back and talk about that one again. Enrollment projections talked about, the statewide list. Yeah, we know. You guys will probably recall we do have a statewide list. We're not done with that yet because we're waiting for location information, which is room by room information, to be uploaded this week in our database. But we put together a statewide list basically and identify anybody above 90% capacity in the state, any district, in any specific grade configuration. And that shows just basically the highest percentage of capacity down through the lowest. So like I said before, right now we only have 2 that are really over, and that's Laramie 1 here in Cheyenne, and also our Teton 1. So those are the 2, and I don't have that to share because our network drives down, so I apologize for that. And so your analysis, obviously, you won't be above 90% this year, and so we'll just you're there, and I don't think there's much more to talk about that. Talked about your district analysis. You gave us, it looks like you guys last year apparently you had a waiver for 17.7 in your K3. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Good. So it look like you're not going to need the waiver this year again, or does it look?
Right.
Okay, I got you.
Tanner is not in cell phone range or not available at this time.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We'll see.
All right.
Do you want to talk about security for a minute?
Yep, let's go for it.
We're in a phase 1 of kind of a 2-phase project right now that we've been working with Tanner. The first one's on the north end, and we're about halfway through that. Once we complete that, the north end, we're talking locks, cameras, vestibules that were not built into schools 12 years ago, trying to get those created. Once we get that completed on the north end, we will then create a new RFP and put that on the street for the south end. And that's some of those numbers that you're seeing there. About 25% of it's being paid for out of security dollars. The rest is coming out of major maintenance.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Have you guys used, you probably knew back in the biennial budget here, the first year of this budget, 2-year budget, that they kind of split out and designated also 10%, which, you know, is kind of debatable exactly what they meant, but you guys now have regular major maintenance, 10% monies, and then you have 10% of security monies within that major maintenance as well. You were familiar with that, Michael, and knew
I
that?
am. I have been informed that unless it does not meet normal major maintenance requirements, then you would use major maintenance. If it was something weird, then to go after the 10% of the security dollars. Currently what we're doing fits under the major maintenance portion, so we haven't tapped those dollars yet.
Okay, perfect. All right, just want to make sure you were fully aware of that. In the past, we've asked for, I think this not this one, but the year before, not in supplemental, last year's, we did ask for continuing security monies. I think it was over 10 million. Well, it's 17 million.
I think so, yeah, I was close to
Around-
17.
Around 17 million. I mean, no one's looked at it since, so we have no idea if that will be an interest at all down the road of the legislature to consider or not. So if you're counting on more security money coming down the road, we have no indication whether that would happen or not.
Well, we're hoping to get that 93 all spent again with the remainder of it coming from our regular major maintenance account.
Okay.